All right, so trend lines, we have about 5 trend lines that we use exclusively. And there's rules that I'm going to set in place for you. And they can be used in any time frame. And all right, let's get into it. So the first example that I want to show you is just the general relativity of what makes a trend line valid or not. So can anyone tell me which one of these trend lines is the highest probability trend line?
The first one.
The first one. Yes. The first one is the most highest probability trend line. This trend line you want to use primarily H1 and below. Oops. H1 time frame and below. Can't type. H1 time frame and below. The reason why you use this one H1 time frame below is because you have a lot of candles in H1 within a relative area of space. So like you have a lot of these candles, you want to make sure the spacing between the candles are pretty equal. So you can see that this is 0.1, this is 0.2, this is 0.3. We can all see just from this visual representation that the spacing is pretty damn equal, right? Can we all agree? Can we all say that point A to B, point B to C is pretty equal?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
symmetrical.
the
Very good.
distance.
Very good. Yeah, the distance for H1 and below is you want to be a little bit strict with your placement. And I have the moving average on my chart. So what you can do is put a moving average with the period of 1 on the close. So what that's going to do is actually going to track every closing of the candle. And that helps when you draw your trend lines because you want your first point and your second point to be connected to the closing price. And then the third price is usually going to be, if you're selling, it's going to be above your SNR level. because if you enter at this level, you're going to experience a lot of drawdown. But then if you look very closely, if you actually enter from the trend line, you're getting a much sharper entry. You're entering right here. Oops. You're entering here as opposed to entering down here. So you can see when I post those screenshots, they're coming from trend lines. 95% of them, they're coming from trend lines, and it's the result of price rejecting one of them. That is the perfect example of how you want to use a trend line that's below H1. Now, with H4 and above, you can use these trend lines. So let me just move them down a bit. Oops. Okay, great. So for this H4 and above, H1 daily, weekly, monthly, your spacing can be a little bit uneven. There can be disparity between the spaces between each time frame. So A and B and C doesn't need to be equal. Because when you use higher time frame, there's actually a lot of space between the swing points. Oh, like for example, like even though I said H1 and below you'd like to have equal, H4 you want to try to do equal, but sometimes that doesn't always happen. Um, and that's totally fine. Let's see, missed. Yeah, that's fine. So we can see. Sure, this is right. Just for the sake of an example, okay? You have point 0.1, you have point 2, point 3. We can all see that point A to point B is much bigger than point B to C. It's a little bit, it's not equal. And with H4 and above, that is completely fine because there's the candles on H4, they're heavier, they have more weight, they have more. Oh, what happened? What happened? Um, there is more. An H4, you can identify more swing points, more valid swing points that is going to allow you to pull lines from a little bit further away to continue a trend. Excuse me. Let's see. Let's see. So something like this is completely valid, right? This is well, let me see if I can use this one. It looks better. I think I can get a sharper entry with this one. Yes, very good. So you can see right here, you have point 1 is not equal to point B is not equal to point C. But it's still a completely valid trend line. You're allowed to use that one. Okay? So, and okay, so that's rule number 1. Rule number 1 is for H1 and below, let me write it down. Trend lines H1 and below spacing can need or spacing needs to be equal. Or very close to equal, nearly perfect. H4 and above. H4 and above. That's right. Yeah, H4 and above. I don't know if I'm doing that right, but H4 and above, spacing needs to be, or need, excuse me, spacing can be disparate. Or irregular. Cannot type irregular, meaning the spacing doesn't need to be equal. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is if buying fuck, then the third point of your trend line needs to be above your SNR level. I'll show you example of this in just a moment. Also, if selling third point of trend line needs to be below SNR. Okay, let me take a screenshot of this. Okay, now I'll send you guys this. But these are the only 2 rules for trend lines. Okay, and now we're gonna go into our different types of trend lines. Type 1 trend line is a very simple one. It's just a straight line. It could be considered a continuation trend line. It could be considered a divergence trend line. It could be considered and what else? Continuation. Yeah, continuation and divergence. It means that price is gonna come here, go down, come here, and then it's going to wick up into your trend line and then drop, right? This is a selling example, meaning that this is your SNR level. Your selling needs to come before above the level. So the reason for that is then you can minimize your drawdown, right? So this is trend line one. It's the same idea if you're using it in this fashion too. You guys, just 1 second. That's me when you're done. Yep, I got you. Okay. All right. Okay, so same thing. I've this is a bearish example. Bullish example is pretty much the same thing where you have the points 1 and 2, 3. It's 1, 2, 3, and then your SNR level. And then you can buy right here. Simple as that. Let's look at some examples of trend line number one. Just like that. Your SNR level is right here. And then you have 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. And then you buy. So examples, let's do something like this. This is actually this is one of the other trend lines. It's a Head and Shoulders trend line. It's completely valid. Which is pretty much there's a head and then I'll go over it in just a second, but this is valid too, right? You have 0.1 crosses into it, it crosses into it, you have 0.2, 0.3, and then you enter by. Let's do some more trend line number 1. Just clear up charts. I think this is good too. Mm. I don't really like that one. Let's do, let's do, sorry. Let's see if this is one of the trend line ones. Yeah, that's trend line 1. So you have your SNR level right here. Let me just make this tight. And you can see points 1, points 2, points 3. You enter over here, and it drops. Okay. I have another video for trend lines that has a bunch of more examples that you guys can watch, and I'll share with you in case you don't. But I'm just gonna do a few examples, and just so that I can keep the video short, so you guys don't get overwhelmed with a lot of information. Um, the next trend line is a breakout trend line. And it's just when price finds resistance, it breaks, and then it finds support. Very powerful trend line. More often than not, this trend line is very probable when it comes to breakout. It's designed to use when there's a breakout in price. So let's look at some examples of that. Oh, I think this is it. So as you can see right here, there is actually support, resistance. We have two trend lines. So one trend line looks like this. The next trend line, it looks like this. So pretty much it's like it's flipped. This one has two supports. First one has one support. Um, but they can be kind of used the same idea. Let's see. There you go. Yeah. This and everyone see it. This is a support resistance. The cell, it's coming above your trend line, so your entry comes exactly at the pinpoints touch of the trend line. Clear?
Yeah, Robbie. Yeah.
All right, great. All right. Let's see. Same thing. This is supports resistance. And then I believe your SNR level is right here. So you're selling above the trend line. Right? Let's do some more. Let's just say that, for example, this wick came down just like that. This is how you would use this trend line, and then your SNR level is here. So we have 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and fly. You mainly want to use them from like swing point. I'm starting to see that swing points usually give the more high quality trend lines as long as they are matching up with your SNR level. Okay, so the next one is let's do 411. This trend line, there's a mentor out there. His name's Ali Yusuf. He goes by the name 411. He passed it down to a couple of us mentors, and it's super powerful. Just to give you some background on it, but it's proven to be very efficient, and it's frankly quite one of my favorite trend lines. this trend line is mainly going to be used for reversal entries. Um, Pretty much best way to remember this trend line is just understanding that it needs to touch a resistance, a support, and a resistance. On the flip side, it's pretty much the same thing. Um, so it's going to be something like this. Make sense? Cool. Let's go over some examples. Some trend lines. Okay. Let's see. Does anyone see that? Resistance. Yeah. Shit. Let me actually get this right. Resistance supports resistance, and then you buy off. Shit. 1 second. My charger is unplugging itself and plugging back in. Let's do So this is supports, well, this is support resistance, resistance. So that's type 6. I have a PDF with all the diagrams of it, so don't worry. I will send you what they look like as well, and some examples too. So you have enough information at your disposal. Uh, let's do T5. So T5, it's a head and shoulders trend line. One, two. Okay. And another variation of that is uh, pretty simple. It's when you have a head in between point A or a head between point C. So just like that. Oops. Sorry, I'm having a little bit difficulty finding these because I didn't really see them this week. Second. It's just a T2. Okay, I think this is it. Resistance points. Speaking of which, let me check my challenge. Oh, there you go. I passed 200K. Let's go. Woohoo!
Congrats, Robbie.
200. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. There you go. Very good. Excellent. Past 200. Two of them. That's amazing. That's great. That's great. That's great. Okay. All right. Let's look for some 411 trend lines. I cannot find it. I don't know why, but they're so fucking powerful. Let's see. This is powerful and I think it can be used. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, this is good. So you have the resistance, you have the support, and you have the resistance. It's a little bit tricky to see, but it's you should just practice it and use it. You practice it for 1 week, you'll be fine. To your trend line, I mean your SNR level is right there, and it's above your SNR, so it's completely valid for you to use. Um, there's more. There's always this trend line, but I just can't find it for some reason. I'm deaf. I mean, I'm blind. Um, oh, okay. Let's see. This one. This one is another one as well. You have uh this is just this is actually T5. So it's the the point one, the head, point two, and three. I also have there's always a trend line. You have something like this as a T5, or maybe I think T4, T411. Yeah, this is good. You have resistance. You have support. And you have resistance. I have a PDF. I will send it to you guys. Don't worry. It'll give you a much better view and it'll have a much better examples for you to look for. So no worries about that. Um sports since oh, no. All right. So this is just a regular T1 trend line, point 1, point 2, point 3. You have another trend line right here. Breakouts, point 1, point 2, point 3. And then your SNR level is right here. Right. Let's see. I did trend line 1, trend line 2, trend line 4. Oh, what I'm gonna do is I will give you guys a PDF, actually. Right here. Uh, Send it to you guys right now. To turn this off. If you guys need prop firm, just let me know. I got you guys. No worries. That's for you. Uh, okay. Um, yeah. Let's do that. Guys. Let's trend line walls. See, this is important. Okay. And decision. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the session